What's up, guys? I know it's a little bit late, but I got snowed in as part of that big nor'easter that hit the East Coast. I'm located just around Niagara Falls. That's where I live. And as much as we didn't get hit directly by the big low pressure system traversing up the East Coast, I did get hit by quite a few strong bands of lake effect snow. Dropped a good foot or so on me, so I've been stuck at my house. And I have terrible internet with terrible bandwidth caps, so I can't upload or get the patch until basically you see this video. So that explains the bit of a delay on a couple of these videos. And that's sort of a fun fact before we begin too, is that every single video you've seen uploaded here on my channel for probably a good year or two, not a single one's been from home. So that helps explain some of my schedule. So as usual, what I do for these patch note videos is talk about what the changes are, whether I think they're good or bad, and we try to get a discussion going in the comment section. This one here is about the They Shall Not Pass DLC that just came out for premium members. And for those that aren't premium members, it's going to be a couple weeks now, and then or a couple weeks from now, you'll be able to access it yourself if you just choose to buy the DLC separately, I mean. So what's in this DLC, you might ask, and if you're on the fence about buying it, there's 4 new maps, essentially. There's 2 new immersive operations, which I'm going to try out and hopefully review those and the maps if you guys are interested. The French Army makes their first appearance. You get a new elite class called the Trench Raider. I'll talk about that as well. 1 new assault tank. 1 new behemoth, the big tank. 6 new unlockable primary weapons. 4 new melee weapons. A new game mode again, which I'll review, called Frontlines. A new type, and of course, new puzzle pieces and melee or new weapon skins in battle packs, and the ability to, the dice improved the ability to sort of put team members together into a party, which I found was a bit of an issue on both console and PC for me. It just wasn't an intuitive system to quickly get into a party, and hopefully that's fixed. I've yet to try it out. And for any questions, yes, I currently have 3 of the 4 weapons reviewed. If you're watching this video, they'll have already been uploaded. It's just a matter of when it comes out on the scheduled uploader. But I will be reviewing those, Frontlines, and a few other different things associated with this new DLC. So let's get into the patch changes that changed up the gameplay. And basically, if you've seen my CTE Patch 2 video, which came out a few weeks ago, that's basically what was implemented into the game as part of this recent patch. The CTE changes that I discussed in that video are now live, but I know not all of you saw that video, not all of you have CTE, so again, I'm going to go over what made the game as part of these patch notes. So let's get into it. In terms of weapons and gadgets, dice, and this one's the hot button issue, I've yet to play enough to really formulate a conclusion as to whether I think it's good or bad, but I've seen a lot of people that have writing down good and bad associated with this new change. And this new one here is that grenade availability, essentially. Everyone knows grenade spam, gas spam, and all that was quite strong prior to this update, and it was actually a bit of an issue. You'd play on open maps like the one in the background you're seeing here near the trenches, and there'd be so much gas that it just wasn't fun. So what DICE tried to do is they tried to reduce spam without making resupplies unnecessarily long in terms of gameplay. So what they've done is the resupply, they've allowed for grenades to resupply on their own regardless of class, which I know it sounds really strange. And resupply, of course, is sped up greatly when you're near an ammo crate and not necessarily not a pouch, which I found interesting. So here we go. The respawn timers are as follows: 36 seconds for a frag grenade, 36 for a light AT, 36 for an impact and incendiary grenade, 27 seconds for gas, 24 seconds for a mini grenade, and 18 seconds for a smoke grenade. So if you're running around regardless of class, those will continually respawn for you as long as you don't die. And of course, if you die and respawn in, you get one back anyway. So a bit controversial. A lot of people don't like the idea that if you're a type of person that can survive a long time, you're just going to keep getting grenades, which seems a bit silly. Also of note, resupply times are 3 times as fast as those listed times when you're next to an ammo crate. They reduce smoke, gas, and mini grenade ammo count from 2 to 1. The only one gripe I have is with smoke, because a lot of the time if I'm going to be trying to push a base and flank or something like that, It's not necessarily that, because you might argue, oh, well, you'll get a smoke back in 18 seconds. But sometimes it takes more than one smoke to really clear off an area and obscure my approach. One smoke, like say I'm in the tank here and I want to go to that building in the back there, it's going to need at least 2 smokes, probably even a third or fourth from a teammate to really get across that area. One smoke won't do it. So I don't really know why they reduced the smoke ammo count. That one's a little bit baffling to me. The mini grenades and the gas I can understand. Not a huge deal. I'm not going to complain about that. Less spam, the better. In terms of weapon changes, the MG 0815 had its horizontal recoil reduced from 0.7 to 0.3. First, full accuracies reached 1 shot earlier. And they fixed an issue with it overheating much faster on the consoles than on PC. The new set overheat threshold is 67 rounds. So this weapon received quite a bit of a buff. LMGs specifically, all of them have increased hip fire dispersion by 0.25 degrees. The Matteson Mg, small little buff for it. First shot recoil multiplier reduced from 1.9 to 1.8, and horizontal recoil reduced from 0.6 to 0.55. The MP18, which is suddenly going to become a popular weapon at least for a little bit, had its vertical recoil reduced from 0.38 to 0.35. And the reason I mention that is one of the weapon assignments for the They Shall Not Pass DLC requires the optical version of this weapon to be used to get 20 headshots. So any little bit of a vertical recoil reduction, of course, is going to help you in this task. Though I gotta say, when I got it on CTE, I was just going around hip firing people, and I found that worked a lot better than trying to aim down sights and shoot. Because even though you can aim at the guy's chest and the vertical kick would throw the bullets into his face, a lot of the time it would just hit his neck and it would kill on a neck shot. So I find just hip firing works. Give it a try, see if it works for you. Your experience may differ. The Automatico got quite the nerf too as well, the M1918. Reduced vertical recoil, it went down from 0.44 to 0.40, but they increased horizontal recoil from 0.8 to 1.2. So a lot of the time those hip fires from 20, 30 meters away will be reduced, ideally in this case. They increased the trench and storm first shot recoil multiplier from 2.65 to 2.8, and decreased the factory first shot recoil multiplier from 2.65 to 2.33. And lastly, they increased the factory recoil decrease from 12 to 16. So the factory actually becomes a bit, it becomes a much more prominent option as opposed to the trench, because I pretty much exclusively would use the trench otherwise. Next up too, the Hell Regal, everyone's favorite or least favorite weapon, had the horizontal recoil increased from 0.8 to 0.95. Overheating now cancels aiming down sight, so if you do just hold down the trigger and it overheats, normally you would be able to stay on ADS. Not anymore. It sort of burns your hands, I guess, in the animation. You're forced to pull your hands away from the gun. And they increased moving hipfire dispersion by 0.25 degrees. So again, the Hell Regal gets a significant nerf. And apparently it's more of an issue of usage on console than it is PC from what I've been reading. It's the only weapon people use on console, apparently. On PC, it's pretty much the Automatico. Grenades have been changed a bit too. Impact grenade minimum time before explosion increased by 0.3 seconds. Incendiary grenade minimum time before explosion was increased from 0.67 to 1.3 seconds. Mini grenade damage increased from 65 to 72. And both the blast radius on the light and assault anti-tank grenades decreased blast radius on the light one, increased on the bigger one. Next with the crossbow is a bit strange. The crossbow launcher now regenerates all its ammo even when it's not reloaded. So, I mean, you're trying to reduce overall spam, but now if you forget to reload, you get punished, or you still get benefited for it. Increased auto replenish time for 15 to 25 seconds, so at least that is a bigger detriment to having to be... Well, I mean, you're punished a bit more if you're using it all the time. And the biggest one that I really enjoyed here is they reduced suppression by friendly gas and prevented coughing at low levels of gas dispersion or suppression. So if you're outside of the main ring radius, you won't cough as much and you won't be suppressed as much. And when I tried this out in CTE, I got to tell you, it was a good welcome change. That was a really good change in my eyes. And much like the discussion generated in my CTE video, I'm going to mention it again. Anti-air cannons. They removed the blast and impact impulse, preventing them from pushing and rotating planes, which to me I don't think is such a huge deal. Because I hated when stingers in Battlefield 4 would hit your wing, say when you're piloting a little bird, and that was it. You were knocked right to the ground. So as much as I'm not a huge pilot and I'm sort of relying on you guys' opinion on this one for PC, I do think the impact impulse isn't that big a deal. It might actually be a beneficial change. But they reduced impact damage to planes by 50% for fighters and attack planes, and 40% for bombers. So I really like to know what you guys think about this one, because it seems as if perhaps on larger operations maps that good pilots are going to go completely unchecked, and you could argue and say, oh, well, maybe someone should be the good pilot and then take them out in the air. But a lot of the time, if you're an extremely good pilot, very rare in a pub that you're going to come across someone who's also another really good pilot to counter you. So most of the time, it just means you're going to be reigning supreme. So those were the patch notes. And again, yes, they were basically a copy over from the original CTE patch 2. I'd like to know you guys' thoughts. If you've been playing the new DLC, let me know how it is. Let me know if it's disappointed you or exceeded your expectations. Let me know about Frontlines, and of course I'll do some reviews on that particular video as well, on a future video as well. And let me know your thoughts on the patch notes with regard to planes and the explosives specifically. Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? If you've had a lot of playtime lately, let me know if you think they're good or bad. As usual, if you're new, leave a like if you like the video. Share it if you think someone would enjoy it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Have a good one, YouTube.